praise God on this beautiful day that He has blessed each one of us with. God is so awesome. It is so great and wonderful to be in the presence of our Savior again. Viewers and listeners, I thank you all for your prayers. I thank you all for just continuing to support KAZ Radio TV and what Mr. James is doing for a community of people. And that is using God's children, using this platform as a way for God's children, as well as himself, to get all the great news out to those who need to hear the good word of God. It is so wonderful. Again, I thank you all, and I just thank God for each one of you for keeping me lifted up in prayer. As you know, again, I am a voice for domestic violence and abuse. And my last episodes, some of the viewers were kind of confused about the messages that I was sending, like with the titles and the subject of the information that I was sharing. But I had to let them know that my main thing is to let people know that abuse is real and that we all need to get involved, whether we are victims of abuse or survivors of abuse. We may know someone who is a victim of abuse, but it is time for us to remain involved or get involved with this dilemma, because it's a growing issue now with this pandemic going on. A lot of people don't have many places that they could go to as far as shelters. So it's time to be a voice. We have social media platforms. We have to open up a lot of these platforms for people to be able to get the help that they need, whether it's a shelter or just a voice or an ear for a person to call and just share what's going on in their life. Again, that domestic violence and abuse is growing and is getting worse during this time that this pandemic is going. The government is making it look like the pandemic is coming to an end, and then here comes something else. But again, we have to stand firm on God's word and believe that He is going to do what He promised to do. But it is up to each one of us to believe and receive what God has for us. Today, I'm going to share a bit of information that I've gotten into because it's a very interesting subject that I use with some of my clients, and it's personality traits and how it relates to abuse. Now, some people may not be familiar with personality traits because they probably never heard of, they just heard the word personality, but there's different types of personalities. And once you understand these different types of personalities, it will become easier for you to be able to relate to someone who is different from yourself. The first one, these two personality traits may be a little bit familiar to some people. There's an introvert and there's extroverts. An introvert is defined as a person who feels comfortable being alone. Back then, I'm not going to tell my age or whatever, but back then we used to use this word shy, or a person who's bashful. So now we have this new word, it's called an introvert, that describes this particular personality type, a person who is shy. And then we have an extrovert. An extrovert is an individual who has an outgoing personality and has very high energy and who loves being around crowds. And sometimes a person who's an extrovert may find the introvert to be weird because that person likes to be alone. Or an introvert again, is a person who's shy, who doesn't like being around a crowd of people. But some people may look at that as being antisocial, or you think you're too good to be around this particular type of people, but that's not the case. So introverts are individuals who tend to be to themselves, but extroverts, if they don't know anything about the personality traits or the characteristics of an introvert, of course, they will look at an introvert as being a weird person. And then again, we have these extroverts who has high energy, who just wants to be the life of the party and just out, just doing everything with everybody. And they have fun like that. That's how they live their life. So they will think that the introvert is supposed to be the same way, but that's not the case. Everybody has their own different personality types. Now, when I was experiencing abuse and experiencing depression, because I no longer suffer from those things anymore, that's why I said I experienced it. When I was experiencing depression, I shied away from people simply because I was embarrassed about how I was feeling inside. But of course, nobody knew how I felt on the inside. But I had people thinking that I was antisocial and I was too good to be around people, but that wasn't the case. And that right there, that's what I want to share with you all in regards to how this can relate to abuse. Now, parents, it can begin with your child being different. You might have 2 or 3 children, and each one of your children are different. Yes, they are supposed to be different. And then you put them in a category with other children in their age group, and you immediately think that my child is at this age and this is what they should be doing at their age. But if parents, I'm speaking to the parents out there, it's very important. It's very important to get to learn your child's personality trait, because sometimes parents have a tendency of thinking that, okay, this is my child. I know my child is this, that, and the other. But your child has a different personality than what you expect them to have. And this is a very good way to learn your children. Let them initiate the conversation. Don't interrupt them. Whether they 2, 5, 8, or 10, let them initiate the conversation, and then just take the time out to really listen to what they are saying. And then you ask questions. Don't assume, because a lot of parents, what you do, you tend to respond to what your child is saying and give them information based on what you think they should know already, or what you think they need to know. But you're giving them that information from an adult's perspective. But if you learn your child, listen to what's not being said, because your child could be trying to give you a message or say something to you that they're not being direct. But if you take the time to listen, and again, body language, I always point that out. Body language is so important when it comes to paying attention to your children. So listening and paying attention to body language, you get to learn your child. Of course, I'm not a parent, but I have so many young people come to me and they just open up. I listen to them. I don't ask them anything unless they want me to ask a question, or they just ask me my opinion, and that's all I give them is my opinion. So again, it is so important to listen to your children. And it's amazing what a 2 year old. It's just amazing because I have a 2 year old great niece, and she's just a very, very interesting little girl. But if you take the time out to listen, and they pick up on things so fast, I call them little sponges. So again, they pick up on things so fast, and before you know it, they seen you do something, and now they're doing it. If it's something bad, don't laugh, because now you're giving them the impression that it's okay for them to do that bad thing again. So you have to take care of the issue right then and there. So again, pay attention to your children. Let them initiate the conversation. Don't interrupt them. And then you can ask questions around what they share with you. And sometimes things can be going on with your child or your children. They might be afraid to express themselves. Of course, you are the parent. They're supposed to come to you and talk to you about everything or anything that's going on with them. But sometimes children don't feel comfortable going to their parents. I can be a witness to that, because those things that was going on in my life, I didn't feel comfortable going to my mother, letting her know what was going on with me. It's not that she was going to be mad at me or think that I did something wrong or whatever. It was just I was afraid, and I shared this so much. It's just that they don't know how. They don't know how, because they are already afraid. They are already hurting. And then if they go to the parents, and the parents don't comfort them in the way that they are expecting to be comforted, guess what? The child is going to shut down some more. And then it's going to grow into a destructive lifestyle. So again, this personality traits, parents, please pay attention to your children. I can't stress it enough. Listen to them. Let them initiate the conversation. And then ask questions around the information, not what you think you heard, but ask them questions and give them that space and that room to open up to you. Because again, parents have this tendency of thinking, that's my child. I know my child. You would be surprised if I can go to some of these parents where these teenagers open up and share the information they shared with me. If I could have went to their parents, the teenager probably would have got in trouble, because the parent would have felt like, you're going out there telling our business to a stranger. But no, it's not about telling what's going on in your household. It's about bonding with your children, knowing how to bond with them on a totally different level, other than just coming home, I got to go to work and pay the bills and keep a roof over your head and keep clothes on your back. It's more to it. That's like being in a marriage. It's more to it than just saying I do. And then when you say I do, all of a sudden, 10 days into the marriage, oh, I don't know if I can do this. No, it's work. It's work. And with children, it's a lifetime commitment. It's pretty much a lifetime commitment, because what you are doing with your children, how you are grooming them and bonding with them from birth up until whatever age they are, is going to be a time in your life when you're going to need your children to take care of you and give you the respect and the love that you gave them. So again, it starts with childhood. The abuse is there. So if you're abusing your child mentally, and the worst part, I always share this, the worst part of abuse is emotional. Emotional abuse is just as damaging as physical abuse, because the emotions are there. Once a child finds it in their heart to be able to open up and express their feelings to their parents, and the parents shut them down, That is where the destructive lifestyle can begin, because the emotions are there. Now the child shut down emotionally. They're going to be afraid to open up and share anything with anybody from that point on, because they're going to feel like the trust is not there. I can't trust my parents. If I can't trust my parents, I can't trust no one else. So I'm just going to go out there and do whatever I need to do to bring destructive attention to myself. So again, these personality traits, parents, learn your children at an early age, because it is so important. And another thing I would like to share with you when it comes to extroverts, again, extroverts like a lot of attention. They want us to be the life of the party. They can walk into a room and just hold a conversation with anybody because they want that attention. So again, if you're an extrovert, or you displaying those characteristics just because you want attention, and you didn't get the attention when you were growing up, now you're behaving in a way where you can draw attention to yourself. So parents or individuals who think they are really extroverts, ask yourself, are you doing that just to draw the attention to yourself because you wasn't getting attention when you were a kid? Because sometimes we have people that will go out there again and be destructive just to draw attention to themselves, because they weren't getting the attention that they needed when they were kids growing up. So ask yourself, am I an extrovert? Why do I like this attention? What am I gaining from getting all this attention drawn to myself? And then again, for the introverts, who's shy, who doesn't like being around a crowd of people. Again, I share my story about being I didn't like being around a crowd of people because I was embarrassed about my situation when I was coming up. So again, you have to pay attention to how you really feel in your heart, and that will determine if you are an introvert or an extrovert. Because I can share with you right now, if I still felt like I was an introvert, I would not be sitting here sharing anything with you, because I would be in my little bubble, in my own little world, just just doing me, without sharing and talking to anybody. Because again, the introvert is the person who is shy, who don't like to be around a crowd of people. So that particular trait that I had back then, it was because I was experiencing depression. I have to keep that in mind. I was only experiencing depression at the time. So that's what caused me not to want to be around other people. So you have to pay attention to how you feel in your heart. What do you believe in your heart, and how you feel when it comes to being around a crowd of people? Or are you okay being alone? Because again, I'm okay being by myself in certain situations. I don't always like being around large crowds, but I still like that peaceful time to myself. So the question I had to ask myself, am I an introvert, or am I an extrovert? Now they have this new word to describe a person who has both personality traits, and that's the ambivert. An ambivert is a person having characteristics of both introverts and extroverts. So this information is so important, parents, or even if you're not a parent. This I wanted to share because it's so important. It's very, very important to know different personality traits. And again, if you have children at the age that they start talking, pay attention, because sometimes they tell you something and you just look at them like, where did you learn that from? Again, my 2-year-old great niece, oh my goodness, she's a little woman trapped in a baby's body. She's an amazing little girl. It's just It's just amazing what these babies will say and what they will do. And you just look at them like, how many times have you been here? You've been here before. So it's it's not that, they have a hard time learning. Sometimes they learn beyond their youth. Some 5 year olds have the mentality of a 10-year old. And then you have a 10-year old who might have the mentality of a 5 year old. But how can you compare that? You have to pay attention to the individual. You have to pay attention to their child, because everybody, whether you're a child, an adult, teenager, whoever, everybody grows in different ways and different stages. Growth and development does not have an age where you can start growing and an age for the development. You just grow and develop as you grow. And I like to share this with people. I always tell people I'm not grown, because to me, grown means you're done. I'm growing. I'm a growing individual because I allow myself to learn something new and different every day. Every day. So I'm a growing individual. And I have some of my peers that's in my age group that tell me, "Oh, I have a old spirit." How do they I have an old spirit, because I relate more to women who's 10 or 15 years older than me. We just communicate like girlfriends, like we're the same age, but these women are 60 and 70 years old, and I relate to them. And I'm only in my 50s. Oops, I told my age. So it's just important to know who you are and what you want to get out of this life that God has blessed you with. So whether it's learning different personality traits and knowing who you are and how you can relate to other people, these learning these personality traits is a good way to establish good communication skills also, because if you're interacting with someone, of course, I share this again, everybody is different. Everybody is different. I can't get mad at one of my peers because they don't believe things the way I believe it, or they don't perceive things the way I perceive it. It's just, okay, I'm relating this information to you, and you can relate information to me, and it's how I choose to perceive it. Not saying that they're right or I'm right or neither one of us is wrong, because everybody perceives things differently. So it's about being able to communicate with people. So learning these different personality traits, I believe, is a plus. And for parents it's important to learn these, so you can get to know your children and learn who they are and how they are, because some of their behaviors, they behaving like that, or they're not developing like the other kids in their age group. It's a reason for that. And if you get mad or and start, oh, I heard it before and it just broke my heart. Parents, yelling and fussing at their toddler, fussing at them because they weren't doing the same thing other toddlers were doing. The other children in their age group were doing. They yelling and fussing at these babies. And again, that's where emotional and psychological abuse begins. And then when the child reaches a certain age, the parents trying to figure out, why are you getting worse? What's wrong with you? It's because you didn't take the time out to really, really learn your child and their personality. Again, not just their personality. Learn more about who you are and your personality traits, because again, that is a good way to communicate, not just with your children, but with people in your peers or wherever, your workplace. That's just a good way to learn how to communicate with people on different levels. So again, personality traits. I'm still learning more and more about personality types. This information I can share where I got it from. It's WebMed, WEBMD.com. And you can put in personality traits. This is where I got some of the information. I read and I research. So whatever I share, I give you the information where you can go and learn more. And then the other site is psychology, psych no, I didn't use that one. But Myers Briggs, MYERSBRIGGS.org. That's another website you can go to learn more about personality types. There is just an extensive is information that you will just find yourself clicking and clicking, because there's so much information there for you to learn. And it was a website, 16personalities.com. You can go on there because it gives you tests. It gives you tests about learning different personality types, and it'll help you learn more about your particular personality type. And this is some information that is so important for us to know, because it helps us learn how to communicate with people, because we can be in a conversation with someone talking about one particular thing, and because that person don't see it the way we see it, we might think they're crazy or they think we're crazy. But no, it's just everybody perceive things differently. So it's so important for us to learn how to listen, and listen without interrupting. And there was some information that I wanted to share in regards to personality types. When you learn with personality types, it helps you develop and grow in different areas of your life, because it helps you understand what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate, and how you can grow in different areas of your life. So again, this personality types is a new platform or a new way to learn about how you can communicate with your children as well as others. And again, knowing what personality types are and how it relates to abuse, you begin to understand more about your child or any loved one. It doesn't have to be your child. It could be a friend or a coworker, anybody. Once you learn personality types, then you'll be able to learn more and more about that particular individual and know how to relate to them when you're holding a conversation. So again, this is Lanatha Johnson, and I want to thank you all for tuning in to KAZRadiotv.com, where we are in a place where God is using us to not only share his good word, but to just live his good word and let others see how God is using us. So again, thank you for tuning in to KAZ Radio TV. I am your host, Lanatha Johnson of Encouraging Voices. And when you hear my voice again, I will have more information to share with you in regards to a journal, Encouraging Voices. Let your heart speak for itself. That is published and is now available on Amazon for purchase. So I will have more information in regards to the journal. So I thank you all for tuning in, and all you blessed and highly favored people. Don't just be blessed. Go out there and be a blessing.